Hey folks, welcome back to America's Worst Podcast. I'm Austin Q, and today I have a very special guest, Benyamin Blount. Thank you for joining me.
Hey, shukran. That's fun, which means thank you and you're welcome.
All right. Ben, I've known this man for about 10 years now. He was one of my first roommates when I got my first apartment. Back then, we were both in different places in our lives. Ben here is a former Army veteran, also a former Rastafarian man, and is now a proud American Muslim. And today we have 10 quick questions for him, and we'll see how it goes. So Ben, first question of the day.
Yeah.
Why did you pick Islam?
I'm a student of comparative religion right now, and I was born into a Catholic home. I went through a lot of different phases in Christianity. My great-grandmother's Mormon. I've been to Episcopalian, Northern Baptist, Southern Baptist, all different types. And I was just looking for more truth because, in my opinion, the Word of God is perfect, so therefore His Word should be perfect. And through all of my cross-comparison, the one that actually sticks true to God being the most merciful, most benevolent, perfect, all of that has stuck the most out in Islam. So, yeah.
Okay, so no one actually sat you down and sold it to you?
I did meet a Muslim man. His name so happened to be Muhammad. And he started talking to me. This is when I was Rasta, and this was actually my Kung Fu class. And I started listening to it, and I was very adverse to it at first. Like, this was something that I was not, like, I did not see myself being Muslim at all. In fact, when I joined the Army, it was because my grandmother, she was actually working at the World Trade Centers, and she just so happened to be on lunch break at the time.
Wow. When
the buildings went down. So that hit me pretty hard. So, like, you can imagine, like, Islam was definitely not on the top of my list when it came to religions. So,
okay. Yeah. Second question, if you had to relate Islam to any other, like, form of belief, like the Ten Commandments, don't lie, don't rape, don't kill, don't do these things, could you relate it to any other religion, or is it kind of its own little
Actually, it's a perfect comparison to the Ten Commandments, because the Ten Commandments comes from what? The Torah, the 5 books of Moses, that was revealed unto Israel. Now, Israel speaks Yehudic. The Christian Bible was actually originally written in Aramaic, and the Quran is written in Arabic. Now, these languages are synonymous with each other. They're sister languages. Why? Because Abraham had 2 sons, Ishmael, Isaac. From Ishmael's people came the Muslims. From Isaac's people came the Jews, the Yehudic people, the Hebrews. So it's very, very relatable. Where the Torah says, thou shalt not kill. And that's also in the Bible, thou shalt not kill. The Quran takes it a step further to say, and we revealed unto the children of Israel, he who kills a man, it is as if he has killed all of humanity. And he who saves a man, is as if he has saved all of humanity.
Interesting. Third question. A lot of people see a lot of Muslim countries, a lot of countries of Islam, as women come last. Like, women are the back burner. They have to keep covered. They shut up. They don't talk. You can hit them. Is there any truth to that, or what is the deal with that? If you had to kill the rumors.
Okay. Well, let's put it out there on Front Street. When people say quote unquote Muslim countries, like, you have to understand, what does the word Muslim mean? What does the word Islam mean? Like, first of all, Islam means peace through submission through God. So you're finding peace through the submission of God. Why do we say Muslim? Like how if you were a runner, then if you were a person who ran, I would call you a runner.
Okay.
If you were a person who cut, I would call you a cutter. Well, what we do in Arabic is we put mu at the beginning of whatever you are. So, like Islam, so we're Muslim, so we're ones who submit. Okay. So to be submitted means that you have to follow the command of God. You have to do whatever He wants. And this common stereotype of what people are doing in these Muslim countries, it's showing a state of non-submission. Because if you actually look into what the Quran says, like, women are like the diamonds of Quran. And the hijab is a choice. And you will find 9 times out of 10, when it comes to asking if you actually had an interview with a Muslim woman, why are they wearing it? It's their choice.
Okay. Because so they don't have to wear it.
They don't have to wear it.
Okay.
It is a choice. it's very highly encouraged. In fact, the way that I'm covered right now is very highly encouraged, even for the males. It's just a lot of us don't do it.
All right.
So, yeah, and this whole thing, like, Muslim women are encouraged to be, you know, to speak up for themselves, to, you to know their rights, to read. So in these countries where you're hearing that they're not allowed to read the book, they're not allowed to read the Quran, or they're not allowed to read into Hadith and stuff like that, it's like, well, why is that? That's because you don't want them to know what their rights are. If they knew what their rights are, they'd actually have a more power in the house. Like, get this. You're the man of this house, right? You're the man of your house. In Islam, a man of the house is known as the man of the house. A wife is known as the queen of the house. And we'll just end the question there.
Okay. All right, okay. So it's very mutual. Men, women. They do the same thing. Have the same rights, same liberties.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Fourth question. Does the Quran say, and I've been getting different answers on this, but does the Quran say that anyone who is an infidel should not exist, or should be terminated or die?
No, it does not say that. Now, it does say in one verse of the Quran, but you have to know what's before it and what's after it. It says, where you find them, where you find the enemy, slay them. It says that right out.
Okay.
But if you read the context of that, it's only in a time of war. And there's a whole, like, ruling on what are the classifications of war. This means that people have to outright keep you from practicing your religion. We're no longer allowed to go to our masjids. We're, like, people aren't allowing us to pray anymore and stuff like that. That's when you're the enemy. Stuff like that. If you haven't done anything like that, you'll actually find, if reading all other books of religion, the Quran is the only book that actually says coexist with other religions.
Coexist. So you're saying that the Quran is the only book that says coexist with other religions?
Yes, it's the only book that says that. It's the only book that says do not chastise them, do not make fun of them for their beliefs. If we're in war, we're not allowed to attack other places of worship, even if they're not Muslim, even if they're not Islamic. If you're Christian, if you're Hindu, we're not going to attack your place of your place of worship. It says don't destroy infrastructure. So right there, we're not allowed to destroy buildings. So when you see, like, these common stereotypes of terrorists, if they're destroying a building, if they're attacking a place of worship, I mean, look, they're killing Muslims.
Yeah.
So we already know, like, there's something else at work here, and it's definitely not.
And you'll find that anywhere, any kind of religion. There's going to be divides. Certain people think certain things.
Yeah, it's just like the Ku Klux Klan. Just like with all these demonstrations and stuff like that, they call themselves a Christian organization. They're known as a Christian organization. And where's the turning of the other cheek on that? In any of their behavior. That's what I want.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of people are cherry picking things from the Quran, taking it out of context.
Yeah.
And that's where a lot of confusion is coming from.
Yeah.
So people just need to educate themselves.
Exactly. And education.
Okay, that leads into my next question. Question 5. Sharia law. A lot of people in America are afraid that people from other countries, people of Islam, are going to come here and practice Sharia law and implement it. What exactly is Sharia law? Do you practice Sharia law? And should we be afraid of it? What exactly? Why are people freaking out about Sharia law?
Okay, people are freaking out about Sharia law because they find that anything that came from over 1,400 years ago that had anything to do with law has to be something primitive and barbaric. But if you actually look into the practice of Sharia law, first of all, the Supreme Court of America recognizes Muhammad, our Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as the most just, and actually has one of his quotes as a plaque on the outside of the Supreme Court of Justice in America. Yes.
Okay, I did not know that.
In fact, a lot of schools of jurisprudence have agreed that the Sharia law, that a lot of the principles that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught actually are the most just. This is why even on his gravesite, you'll not see this on many other people's gravesite. Even his enemies had to write, he was the most honest, the most just, the most truthful person that we ever met, even though we wanted to kill him. So people are afraid of certain things, but let's put in, like, an extreme practice. Like, the extreme practice people say, or always usually call out, is someone stealing and then you cut off their hand. Okay, that sounds really extreme.
Yes.
Think about it on this level. Grand Theft Auto. You commit Grand Theft Auto, you go to prison, and then it's on your record for the rest of your life. You're a felon, so now you can't vote. It's really hard for you to get a job. And pretty much you're like, a part of your reputation for the rest of your life is tarnished. Where there's certain different schools of Sharia law. Some extreme schools, the extremists say cut off like large portions of the arm. Some say cut off the hand. Some say cut off a finger. Now, let's see this mentality. If you have a missing finger, are you going to think about stealing again?
Probably not.
Probably not. So
I might steal my finger back.
Yeah. But you're thinking of not stealing again, and nothing has gone on your record. You're like the society. No one's going to judge you after that. They're going to be like, that dude's missing the finger. Yeah. But I'm not going to worry about it because I'm sure he's not going to steal again. And
yeah, because where you were going with it earlier, I was thinking, man, if you cut off your hand, that prevents you from working. That prevents you from doing a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
But I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
So, do you think that Sharia law should be something in America?
I believe that it should be something that should be looked into and studied and actually compared with other religions and other laws, other jurisprudences from other cultures, and actually weigh the pros and cons and balances, and not just come from the outside looking in where you haven't really researched anything and you're just like, oh, it just sounds barbaric. But when you really start looking at, when you start studying it, it's actually really fair. Very, very fair.
Question 6. Why do people in those countries, why did they actually hang people and cut people up and do all of these things? Is it just because there's differences in the beliefs and Muslim beliefs, or do many people in that country agree with those hangings, public chopping off the hand and everything like that?
First of all, when it comes to hanging or cutting up the body or mutilation and stuff like that, that is not part of Islam. Nowhere in there. Nowhere in the Quran, nowhere in any of the hadith, which are the narrations of our Prophet ﷺ, does it encourage mutilation of the body. You know, the only time that we're allowed to kill is in time of justice, meaning like solving a case for murder, or like extreme case of corruption or something like that, where it's like worthy of the death penalty.
So those people that are doing that, they're not doing something that everyone agrees with. They're going out, they're doing some like really radical shit and hanging people that just like scary crap that no one else really.
It's pretty much the same scare tactics that the Ku Klux Klan used against people that they wanted to strike fear into. Okay. So that's what these people do. They're preying on fear, and that's the meaning of terrorists. They're using terror as a means to gain control. But nowhere in Islam does it encourage mutilation of the body. There's no public hangings or anything like that encouraged. Nothing.
Nothing in the Quran like that.
Nothing in the Quran like that.
Okay.
And if someone is to murder someone, it's up to the family to decide, do they want recompense of the other person facing the death penalty, or would they rather just take like a payment, like blood money payment? Or would they rather just forgive?
Okay.
You know, so
interesting. All right. Well, question 7: is there like a certain number of times that you're supposed to pray throughout the day, or do you just do it because you worship your God so much, or?
The prayer we have. There are 2 different types of prayers in Islam. We have Salah, which is where you'll hear me speak Arabic, where we recite the Quran. And that is an act of worship, that is an act of ibadah, that is an act of submitting to Allah. That's 5 times a day, commanded, obligatory. Then we have sunnah prayers, or we have the supplicatory prayers, the extra prayers. These are just prayers that you can do just to get that extra good feeling, because praying does make you feel good. And if you want to stay in connection with your Lord like that, if you want some extra good deeds, then it's recommended that you can do some sunnah prayers. And then we have our personal prayer to Allah, our dua. What we like. This can be spoken in any language, whatever tongue that you speak. You're actually talking to God, and you're actually asking Him for peace, for serenity. You can cry to Him in this moment, and things like that. You can do this in any of the prayers. You can cry to the Lord. You can ask for things, but dua is like, your personal thing. You wouldn't, perform that in certain places.
All right. Next, what's the biggest change that you had to do to adapt to your beliefs?
The biggest change, and it was actually really easy transitioning into Islam because, like as we talked about before, I was Rastafarian before. I was, I was in a reggae band for 5 years and stuff like that. And at the time, I was already vegetarian for going on 4 years, so I already wasn't eating pork, certain things of that nature. And that's just because I was going through a cleansing moment. But like the transition into Islam was really just adjusting my life around the 5 prayers and seeing what it could do for me, rather than living my life so freely every day, as we were talking about the 5 prayers. So you can live your life every day going out, and if you think about how many times people pray in their life, you might only want to do it when you really feel like doing it, when you want to ask for something. So the 5 prayers really build structure in your life, and you build your life around it. You can really start picking out who's really a Muslim and who's not a Muslim. Like if you got to pray 5 times a day, you're looking at your watch, you're like, do I really got time to go and shoot people or steal something? And I got 2 hours before my next meeting with God. Like,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. So just making time for God.
Yeah, making time for God.
Okay. All right. Interesting. All right, Ben. Next question. During this transition, because you dress totally different now, I've noticed it. Have you felt any discrimination from anyone since this transition?
Here's the most amazing thing: is actually from a lot of the public, I get a lot of support.
Okay.
I get a lot of support. I get a lot of good comments on how I dress and stuff like that. People say that it looks nice. People say that it looks respectable, things of that nature, and that's because they understand that level of humility that this type of dress represents. Like if you look in even Christian culture, how they look at things. When you look at Jesus drawn many times, even though we don't believe that you should draw Jesus or draw Mary, but when you look at them, Jesus or Mary, Jesus is wearing a long shirt or a long dress, long flowing dress. He's got a beard. In every picture, he's got a beard. If you look at his mother, what is she wearing? She's wearing a veil over her head, a hijab. So that lets you know that there's something noble about this type of dress. There's something good about it. There's nothing evil. I don't get dressed like this thinking that I'm going to go somewhere and cause some harm. Like,
okay.
This isn't the dress of harm. Like if I was going to do that, I'd have to get on some combat boots and some other stuff. So yeah,
is that comfortable? Do you enjoy dressing like this?
Oh, it's so comfortable.
Is it comfortable?
It's really comfortable.
And for those who don't know, we're in Arizona. We're not in New York. We're not in Oregon. We're in a red state. The sheriff at one point was allowing different agencies to profile people to pull them over. I'm very happy to hear that everyone's giving you a lot of
out in the public. I'm getting a lot of good
positive vibes.
A lot of good positive vibes. It's really only more in the personal relationships, and this is what you'll find in like Muslims that revert. That's what we call it because we believe that we were all born Muslim. But when we come to Islam, it'll usually be your family that'll give you the most negative feedback. Well, actually, the public understands it. The public knows just with their bare eyes. How can you call this evil? And that's what it is. Islam is the only religion. It's still the fastest growing religion in the world. And the more and more you try to poke fun of it, the more and more you try to call it evil, you're just making people want to pay attention to it and ask questions about it. And asking questions will eventually get you the truth.
Okay. Okay, next question. What do you think you could bring to the table, in a sense, spiritually for people, like to help them believe? Like, what would be your selling point? If you had to get it out there to the American viewers right now, if you had to tell them, like, why should you be a Muslim? Why should you practice Islam? What would it be? Like, what was the biggest benefit?
The biggest benefit is contentment. That's what we're looking for in this life. A lot of people are You know, we buy things. A lot of people, even when they pray, we're praying for material things, or we're praying for things that we think are going to make us happy in this world. And everything in this life is temporary, including, you know, just our life. Like, everyone's going to die. That's what we all know. No matter who you are, no matter, even if you're atheist, whatever religion you're in, we all know that we're going to die. And everyone has that question: why are we here? What is our purpose? And Islam can give you that contentment, to give you purpose, to give you that knowledge why we are here, and give you the satisfaction knowing what you're supposed to be doing and where you're going and how much you're going to be all right. And in all of your affairs, you're going to be all right.
Okay. All right, and then the very last question. Is there anything that you would like to let our viewers know, any kind of rumor you'd like to kill, or any kind of information you'd like to get out there about Islam?
Just, if there's so many rumors about religion, period, about mysticism or magic or just fraud, or is it all made up and things like that. And there's so many different types of religions, so many different beliefs, and one thing that everyone's looking for is, how can we have proof of what is real? That's the most important thing to me, is how can we prove that this is real, so that we can get people on the right page, so that we can start moving forward. And through a scientific method, through any other type of method that you want to put Islam through the test to, I challenge you to challenge the Quran, to challenge Islam, and actually look into it and try to prove it wrong. And that's the difference, is that other religions will say, just believe, and you won't, and just believe and read, and everything will just come to you. Where Islam is the only religion in the world that says, challenge, don't just believe, but try to prove this wrong. You know, point your finger at this book. It says this book is from God, and if it wasn't from God, then surely you would find mistakes. So that's a challenge to you. So I'm challenging you to take that challenge. And there's so many different religions in the world, and you know, there's different types of mysticisms and stuff like that. But if you really truly want to see miracles that can prove to a scientific method that Islam is real and that God is real, everything is real, look into Islam. We have Zamzam water, we have Mecca, we have the Black Stone, we have the Quran in itself, like all these things that you can see right with your eyes. You want to see miracles? They're there. So.
All right. Well, Ben, thank you very much for joining me today. And if you'd like to get a hold of Ben, you can get a hold of him at...
I'm on Facebook, on DTA, that's Dawah Through Action, so you can go to facebook.com/Dawah Through Action, or hashtag Dawah Through Action. You should find us there, and we have some advertisements going up right now. I put videos up. I try to get them out at least twice a month, maybe sometimes once a month. I'm pretty busy. But it'll let you know, like, what Islam is really all about, like what the Muslim character really represents.
This is America's Worst Podcast. Please subscribe. We'll see you next time.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Tune in to DTA on Facebook. Thank you.